This for all my Motown Sports Dads, repping every game with the fields and the courts and keeping every schedule in the notepad. Rocking team merch and a sports cap. This for all my Motown Sports Dads, repping every game with the fields and the courts and this for all my Motown Sports Dads. This for all my Motown Sports Dads. Courtesy of Motown Madness. Courtesy of Motown Madness. Can't you see it's Motown Madness? Can't you see it's Motown Madness? Courtesy of Motown Madness. Courtesy of Motown Madness. This for all my Motown Sports Dads. This for all my Motown Sports Dads. Yeah. Motown Madness family, welcome back to Motown Sports Dad, the podcast where we're simply helping sports dads navigate this journey with their kids with a little balance and ease, man. You know, it's a tough journey. It can be a long journey. So we're here to just alleviate the pressures that you're feeling, man. You back with the boys, me, Marcel B, the MC, the man of the people, Suburban Joe. Everything's magic with Coach T. Yep. And last but definitely not least, Coach Volpini, man.
Motown.
What's good, fellas? What's good?
What's up?
What's
man,
the word?
Quick shout out. So in we getting ready for the show, man. And I see Coach T hop on with this USA jersey. And there was no question that is number 9. It was, you know, if you're going to wear one for the Sports Dad podcast, it got to be number 9, right, Brody?
You already know it's number 9. Let me see. There it is right there.
There it is.
You know what I'm doing. You know,
yes,
I'm
sir. And for those that don't know, that is his airness. Yes, the GOAT. Yeah. You know, the best to ever do it, the best to ever lace him up. Michael Jordan, of course, man. Yeah. His airness. His airness, man.
Some kid listening to the show said LeBron James.
Yeah. And a quick side note, the fellas like to give me a lot of slack. I'm a big LeBron James fan, right? But Mike will always be my GOAT, you know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Let's catch the people up. Joe, what's good? What's going on in the world of Suburban Joe?
Man, listen, today it's kind of one of those days. Justin's moving back to college after his 11 weeks of work.
Wow.
So today is his moving date. So he'll be loading up the car today and heading back to Kettering. So, you know, and other than that, you know, just, you know, the weather's starting to change. It's starting to get nice out, you know, been outside and just everything's been great.
Nice, man. Coach Volpini, catch the people up, man. What's going on in your world?
What's good, man? Same old. Just baseball season is right around the corner. Just fine-tuning, getting ready for that season, and working hard these next couple of weeks to get ready. And it's an exciting time. Like Joe said, the weather's changing. It's supposed to snow a couple of days next week, though, so don't put those shorts on yet, Joe.
Hey, it's getting there, man. My mind's already there, Dave. My mind's already there. You ain't changing it, Dave. Ain't gonna happen.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some baseball.
Man, you gotta love that bipolar Michigan weather around this time, man.
Sure.
Crazy, man. That's crazy. Yep. Coach T,
what's
Motown Magic basketball, bro?
Oh yeah.
What's going on your way, man? Catch us up. What's good?
All day, every day, man. We play. It's playoff time in our Greg Grant session. So we're gonna try to get in there and get a ring this weekend. So we'll have an opportunity to do that.
Go.
So we're excited about that. Also, now it's time for me to start planning our summer schedule so that parents can get a jump on it, right? So we're getting started early, looking at different tournaments, navigating different circuits. It's time to grow a little bit outside of some of the stuff we did. Now it's time to take another step. So when you start your tournament circuit, you kind of start at one level, even in that world, and then you start dipping your toe out in some more dangerous waters. And so that's where we at. We're getting ready to dip our toe in some dangerous waters.
Wow, sound like you ramping up even more, man. That's crazy.
No, I'm supposed to be ramping down. Ain't I ramping up?
That's work, man. I mean, we can all. I know, you know, just in us talking, you know, on a daily basis, you know, the Sports Dad life has kept us plenty busy, man. So to be able to tap in with y'all is super dope. For me, you know, so one of the parts of MJ's game that is an opportunity for growth. I never like to use pros and cons. I like opportunity for growth and strengths, right? Those are the two. I don't even use weaknesses. But one of them is basketball IQ.
So his coaches, his trainer, myself, we've been encouraging him to watch more game, watch more film, just really think more of the game, right? So that that can take over in the games. So what I've been trying to do is get him to more pro games. So this year we've gone to 3 Orlando Magic games. Went to see KD and Book, the Suns in January. Took him to see his favorite player, Steph Curry. For the Warriors, Steph had like 54 points, 12 3-pointers. Amazing to see in person. And then we also went to see LeBron James, Luca, and the Lakers, which was super dope. Now, LeBron's coming off this growing injury, so you could tell he wasn't quite himself. And I seen him try to impact the game in other ways. And to me, it included, like, it seemed like an all game long dialogue with the refs. And it was really like, man, it was almost like off putting for me. Like, man, why is he talking to the refs so much? But that Luka Doncic, to see him in person, like if we talk to the kids about dictating pace, he dictates a pace like I've never seen before. And he has this quick switch where it looks slow, but when he's ready to execute whatever the move is, to score or play make, it's very fast. To see that change in pace in person was incredible. So just trying to get him in front of the pro game, watch more college games to see execution at a higher level, just to kind of grow that basketball IQ.
You know what I love about what you just said though with Luca. So if you're trying to get your kid to understand IQ, because it's you split it in half. So I had the same conversations this week with our trainer about TJ, right? So TJ's IQ is off the charts, right? But we got to get him more physical. So it's two sides to the sports. It's the IQ, which is the mind, and the intelligence and the natural how they process the information, and then it's the physical aspect where you can grow that. Some people are physically talented. Some people are born with the height and strength and hitting puberty first and all that, right? And so we're the inverse right now. But for IQ, the best player to watch is Luka. Yes. Because the physical part is not as high on the chart, but his IQ is so high. Him and Djokovic, them two players, they'll make you say, forget physical. Let me just study IQ right now. And if you want to hone in on IQ, then the two to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jokic and Doncic, man, they're killing the game. And I think this week Doncic just had a 60-point triple-double. First time ever in NBA history. And I think Greek had like Antetokounmpo had like a 37, 20, and 17 night as well. Like the numbers in the NBA have been off the charts lately. So definitely good to watch and, kind of refreshing. And we're going to get into some of that later. So Pro Dad, fellas, Pro Dad sponsored. We don't, you know what, fellas? We need to find a sponsor for Pro Dad. We need to find a sponsor for Pro Dad. So we're definitely looking to partner with some of the local businesses in Macomb. Make sure y'all tap in with us. But Pro Dad. So recently this week, Coach T actually sent us this video, and this was like a no-brainer for us to speak on this on the show. But there were hand drawings of Madden Orvlovsky, who is the son of ESPN analyst Dan Orvlovsky, former NFL quarterback, played for the Lions actually. So former Lion. Former Lion, man. So it's always a soft spot for all the former Lions. But in honor of World Autism Awareness Day, his son's hand drawings were on the set of NFL Live. And Madden, who's now 13, he was diagnosed with autism more than a decade ago. So fellas, my question to y'all is, in seeing Dan have his son's drawings on the set, the one thing that came to my mind is, man, that's been a journey to navigate, right? Autism has shown to have its challenges, although there's so much support for it today, so much more support today than it was maybe 10 to 20 years ago. It's still, as a parent, something to navigate. And so I started to think of that mentality, when you want to have a child, it's only natural to want them to play sports if you play sports, right? But maybe Dan had to go from maybe picturing that and having that vision to waking up and saying, no, instead of that dream, right, or that plan, how do I just become the best dad to Madden, right? So my question to y'all, Coach V, how do you think Dan was able to pivot as a former athlete to a dad whose sons, faces this challenge? How do you think he was able to pivot?
Love, man. The love for his son, right? I mean, that changes a lot of things in our life when we look at what we want and then we see what's really in front of us and what God had planned for us. So I think that he's done a great job with it. I love how he embraced it. I love how, he was able to put that on that set. But I'm sure it was hard, as a former athlete when I was younger. To my oldest son tried sports a little bit. It wasn't his thing, you know what I mean? And my love for him and his happiness ruled over that, though. So I didn't push it on him. But it's got to be challenging for him. But I think he's done a great job. And his expectations as a dad are just to love his kid through what he's going through and be the best he can for him.
Dope, dope, dope. Coach T, man.
Yeah.
How do you think Dan was able to pivot, man? As a sports dad, former athlete, how was he able to pivot? How did how?
So I actually think, man, the short answer is God. Short answer is God. Because Bo Penny said this morning, when we make playing God laugh. We make plays, God laugh, right? And so you have to love something more than yourself. And your kids is a prime example of experiencing that love. It's very powerful, bro. It's very powerful. And anything wrong with them, or anything that's off, or anything that's different, we embrace, we learn everything we can about it, and it becomes our journey. It becomes part of, or anything great about it, anything exceptional about them, right? And so, I think that's what it is. God teach you to come outside of yourself, your own expectations. I mean, this guy is he's a world-class quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Here I am, played a couple rounds in high school and trying to create an NBA player.
Right.
This guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro,
Yeah.
he's the highest level. So of course, in his heart and his mind, like you just said, Steph Curry, so Dale Curry was a pretty good shooter, bro. Like, he was a crazy
pretty
shooter.
good.
You know what I'm saying? And now his son is the greatest shooter in the world, or back to LeBron and Bronny. Like, yeah, it's in the hearts of the father, especially if you competed for your son to follow your path. But when it can't, and then you see something that's bigger than sports, and bigger than really is bigger than anything that a father could go through. It's just that learning moment, and only God can help you pivot and navigate it. And sometimes you're frustrated, and sometimes it's tough. But that's it. I think that's the answer. That's when you start to trust and walk with him closer. So
Love that. Joe, what's your thoughts, man? How do you think Dan was able to pivot?
I think he was able to pivot by just embracing his son's passions, right? I mean, as a father, we all want our kids to play sports or do something that we all did, right? But at the end of the day, is it what we want or what they want or what they can do, right? So as a dad, we have to look at it, that we're with our kids for a very short time, until they move out and stuff. So I think it's important, and he knows it, that you just embrace everything that they want to do, right? You look at it in everyday life, here, with my kids being older, we were lucky enough, Jeremy was able to go play baseball in college, but Justin didn't want anything to do with that. He didn't want to play sports in college. He wanted to do education, right? So you have to embrace what they want. And Dan is smart enough, and he trusts God, and he followed he followed God's plan or life's plan, and it's just embracing everything that his kids are doing. So ain't nothing wrong with that, right?
Right, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I'm with all three of y'all on that, man. My sports dads, bring it in.
Yeah.
All my sports dads, bring it in. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Your child's destiny is not about you. It's not about us.
Nope.
Now, do you play a critical role? Do we play a critical role? Yeah, we do. But it's not about us. And the moment that we embrace that it's not about us, that's the moment that things manifest in a natural way that they're supposed to, right? And never forget, at the end of this, Dan's son still made it on ESPN. And that's super dope.
Right.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I'm
dope.
saying? That's
Yeah.
super dope, man. So look,
Yeah.
what we want to know in the comments is how do you think Dan was able to pivot? But also, what's one challenge that you didn't see coming on this journey with your child? You know, even if they were once an athlete, now an athlete, what's one challenge that you face and how you've been able to pivot through that? And we love to hear that story and share these testimonies in the comments. Remember, engage, man. Tap in with us on YouTube and Instagram, man. We want to hear your stories.
I want to add something too before we pivot.
Okay.
Because I heard something dope from Pastor Stephen Furtick, who I listen to a lot with Elevation, and he said, people don't see you as you are; they see you as how they need you to be, or
Mm,
what they need you to be. They don't see you as you are, right? Like I'm a dad, but I'm also a son. So we got these sons. They're sons to us because that's what we need them to be, right? But
yeah.
they're really brothers. They're future husbands. They're basketball players. They're, you know what I mean. So I also want to know, like, uh, at the end of the day, what do you need? How do you see your son? Who do you see your son as, or who do you see your child as, and what do you need from them? Like, what do you need from them? And that's a thought. Like when you sit and you think about the day, or think about them and what's next, and what, and got to take them here, and take a minute and just think about, man, how do I see them? What do I need from them?
Yeah.
Be mindful of that, because that'll slow us down from being ultra competitive and pointing at them and being mad and frustrated and all that. And just see them, see their soul, you know what I'm saying? And just think about what you need from them and what they need from you in that relationship.
Facts. And talking about pivot, our second oldest, Sincere, he played high school ball, and he got hurt his senior year. We kind of talked about that previously. And when he didn't get the offers that he wanted for college, he went to like a post grad school for a year. He got hurt again, so he ended up having to kind of shelve the basketball dream. I watched him for about 2 years just try different things, crazy ideas, entrepreneur stuff, multi-level marketing companies, and just watch him find his way. And he ended up attending Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach, Florida. He just graduated with his bachelor's last year. He's doing sports medicine, and he's a behavioral health counselor today, right? So he went from playing sports, and that was the dream, and that was kind
Yeah.
of the dream we shared with him, to no longer being able to chase that dream to the level he wanted to becoming this behavioral health counselor for at-risk teens today. And he shared with me about 2 months ago, there was a young lady that was going to kill herself, and he talked her out of it at work. So his pivot led to saving somebody's life one day. And that's why it's so important to be able to pivot. That life is full of pivots. And so
Man,
if we don't pivot properly, there's a life that may not get saved. That's on the extreme level, but it's all things work together for the good who loves the Lord and
Amen.
are called according to his purpose. So we ain't gonna preach y'all to death, man. But definitely tap in with us in the comments. Man, super dope way to start the show, fellas.
Oh yeah.
What's on tap with Coach Volpini and
Let's roll with
Suburban
it.
Joe? We talk
Yeah.
about what's going on within Macomb and the Michigan area, man. What y'all got for us today,
Yeah,
fellas?
man. Well, last week we touched base on the some of the local teams that were in the top 25 in the state. Well, this week we got the preseason top 10 for Macomb County. So I just want to touch on those schools real quick. Number one, Dakota Cougars, top six hitters on their team, and their top pitchers are all coming back. So they got them ranked number one in the county.
Nice.
Right behind them is Sterling Heights Stevenson Titans. They got college-like talent on that team. They are a tough team. Watch out for them. Anchor Bay. All I gotta say about them is their top two players. One's going to University of Michigan. One's going to Michigan State.
all
So
right,
what
Wow.
a
all
blessing
right.
on that team.
Right.
And then we got Richmond Blue Devils. If you're from this area, it's not a big town, but they pack some baseball, and no team played further into the postseason last year than the Richmond Blue Devils. So be on the lookout for them this year. And then De La Salle Pilots, those are always a tough team, right, Joe?
Oh yeah, they're always tough.
They're always
you
a
know,
tough team.
don't even get me
They got the
started.
biggest pickup in the area though. They picked up
They do. They
they
can
picked up
recruit everywhere.
Northville coach Dan
Yeah.
Simony from Northville High School. They won the state championship
Mhm.
last year, so
Yeah.
they brought in that experience in the coaching
Yep.
level.
Which
And then
team
number
is that?
6, you got the
What-
Chippewa Valley Big Reds. Go Big Reds, right? T, that's
Vopini,
our local
Vopini,
right
Vopini.
there.
Which team is that won the state championship last year?
No, Northville did, but De La
Ah,
Salle got their coach for him this year, so
wow.
that was
Okay,
their big
okay.
pickup.
We got
Yep.
some movement. Go ahead.
Yeah, those private schools, right?
Yeah.
Chippewa Valley, they lost a lot of senior talent last year, so they're gonna have to fight this year. Number 7 is the Eisenhower Eagles. They might have the best offense in the MAC, but they're not as deep in the cabinet for the pitchers, so we'll see how they pull through. Number 8, you got the Henry Ford 2 Falcons. They lost a lot of top players, so they're going to be battling it out this year. We'll see how they hold up. And then rounding out the bottom, we got number 9, Romeo Bulldogs. They have talent, but they don't go deep in the cabinet. So there's a lot of other powerhouses in the area that might put them to work this year. So it's baseball. We'll see how that rolls.
Yep.
And then last on the list, number 10 is Armada Tigers.
Mhm.
They flew under the radar last year. They weren't, as consistent as Richmond teams, but they did beat Richmond last year 1 game. So we'll see how they do and see how competitive they come out. But that's rounding out your top 10 in Macomb County. So be on the lookout for some baseball.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Vopini, when you say
All right.
deep in the cabinet, what does that mean?
Pitchers, you got to have pitchers.
Yeah.
You got to have pitchers in baseball. So a lot of these schools have deep pitchers, and some schools run out of gas quick, right?
Deep in the cabinet. I love
The
that.
cabinet.
More pictures you have, the better you are, man.
Absolutely.
For sure. We're gonna get into a certain picture later on in the show too, man. Joe, what you got? Anything local sports?
All right. Yes, first of all, we got the Pistons clinched first playoff berth since the 2018-2019 season.
Let's go.
Yes. Let's go. Finally.
Yeah.
Maybe the bad boys are back. Let's go.
The boys are back in town.
And real quick, a couple more things I'll say. Even though, they lost pretty bad, I still have to, the Fraser Bulldogs got smoked by Romeo the other night. But, I still have to, give a shout out to Fraser because, it's where the boys went. So anyways, so let's just talk about me now for a second. So a lot of things that a lot of people don't know. Well, you guys know. I love the outdoors, So, whether it's walking or hiking, kayaking, fishing, whatever, I love being outdoors, So, and Chris and I, and even when the boys were younger, we used to always go for walks or hikes. There's plenty of places, locally that you can go. I mean, don't be fooled all because we live in the suburbs and, in this area that there's really nowhere to go. There's a lot to do out here, So we like to go to like Chris and I, some mornings we'll just wake up or maybe after work, we'll just go for a walk. So the other day we wanted to go for a walk at one of our local parks and it was closed. All the parks are closed right now. Man, the flooding is crazy.
Wow.
I mean, the flooding is just it's unreal. I mean, most of the rivers,
a lot of the golf courses are underwater. A lot of the bridges.
Wow.
It's crazy to see how high that water gets and then how quickly it goes away.
It does. It's crazy, because there's so many like hiking trails just locally around here that follow the river. You know what I mean? And even George Park that, Tarmel and I have gone there a few times going, walking around and that whole area, it's all flooded, So, but anyways, as parents, dads, a lot of times we're just looking for something to do to take our kids somewhere, just somewhere different, right? Just to experience the outdoors instead of, them sitting and playing video games all day or even us watching the TV, we got to break away. You know what I mean? We have to keep our minds clear and watching TV, playing video games and just things like that. And sometimes just getting out of the house, right? Because you can't always be doing yard work, right? You can't always be doing things that's work, right? Because it's not good for your head, right? Sometimes you got to break away from sports, even because a lot of times your kids are having a bad game or whatever, and it's a good thing to get out, You know, don't even talk about sports. Go for a walk. You know,
Yep.
so go for a hike. You know, so I'm gonna give everyone
Hey Joy, that can heal a slump. You know, what that can fix a slump with your kid. Maybe you
it
and him
can.
should just go for a walk sometimes, right?
That's right. Because we talk about this all the time. Sometimes, you know, your kid will have a game or a few bad games, right? And instead of trying to do something positive, and you're always trying to talk to your kid about, hey, this is what you got to do better. This is what you got. No. Sometimes the best thing to do is not even talk about it.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And that's the truth. And a lot of people years to realize it. And I wish I would have realized that a lot sooner in life, that it's more fun. Like I realized it one day when Jeremy and I were just driving. You know what I mean? We were just driving, and he had a bad game, you know, and we're just driving around, and we just started talking about whatever, you know. Man, by the end of he was in a great mood by the end of the drive. It was good, you know, and it helps, right? So I'm going to give everyone a list of some places just locally that you can go for a bike ride, a hike, or just a walk, right? So
once they dry up.
Once they dry, it's coming. Oh, it's coming.
Just not next week.
It's coming. Right. Hey, I can't even go kayaking right now. That river's moving. So right here in Clinton Township, we have Canal Park in Clinton Township.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically just a dirt trail. It follows the river. It's pretty nice, and it's in the woods. It's kind of cool. Then we have Macomb Orchard Trail, which is in Richmond. We have Riverbend Park in Shelby Township. You have the Sterling Heights Nature Center in Sterling Heights, and Waldenburg Park in Macomb Township. Just a few places to get started, and a few of them are big. Like the one in Richmond's a big trail, so you can definitely ride it on a bike, or you can walk it, whatever. Just some ideas for people to get out of the house and do something different. So
my black dads. I know your spidey senses went off when Joe said go into the woods. It's in the woods. And let's get rid of that, right? Let's get rid of that misnomer, man. I moved to Florida. My wife took me on all kind of walking trails. And at first, I was a little hesitant because you hear that black people don't go into the woods. It's perfectly fine to go into the woods. Now, I probably would take somebody that looks like Joe Orvlovsky with me. You know what I'm saying? But it's perfectly fine to go into the woods, my black dads, and enjoy the outdoors. I love that. Just walking. I don't think I've done that with my son, but I'm going to do it now that you guys brought it up. We're going to just, go for a walk. We don't even have to talk about the game. We don't have to talk about school. Just walk and enjoy the outdoors. I love that. What's on tap with Vopini and Suburban Joe, man? Thanks, fellas, for keeping us updated on everything Macomb and, the sports within the area, man. Super dope.
Sometimes being a soccer mom or a sports dad sucks. Be honest. I'm a father of 4 and a furry baby. I used to be 120 pounds soaking wet. Sure, I wanted to add muscle, but I ain't never expect to get fat. Every time my wife got pregnant, I got pregnant. Dad bod is real. Look, I'm a basketball coach, and it seems that 10 pounds came with every trophy we win. All the fast food and the travel on the road. You start to get away from you pretty quick. You look up, and before you know it, you're 40, trying to get back in the gym. And the energy it just ain't there. So my wife and I, we had enough this year. We said this year we're going to focus on us. But we had no idea where to start. So luckily, I met a great resource at the gym. My buddy Brian Edwards, who is the co-owner of Level Up Health and Wellness. We had some conversations. He was getting great results. I went home excited to tell my wife about it. From there, the folks over there at Level Up, they made it a super easy journey. So look, I started their testosterone replacement therapy program, and my wife, she already showing her amazing results with a weight loss curriculum. If you're a parent who's lost your individuality and energy for life, then I strongly recommend for you to contact Level Up Health and Wellness right now. If you're watching this, you can scan the QR code. It's right above. Or visit leveluphw.com. That's leveluphw.com. Look, at some point, kids going to grow up, and we got to get back to us, feeling attractive and confident again. You got this, and you ain't got to do it alone. Look in the mirror. See yourself again. Peace and love.
Dad Gang, fellas, Dad Gang,
Oh, yeah.
sponsored by Dad Gang. Apparel made for men and made by men. Man, love Dad Gang, man. I just love the aesthetic of Dad Gang. If you like me, I like clothing that's kind of clean. I used to do like all these character t-shirts and graphics all on them. But lately I just really like clean clothing. And when I say clean, I mean like the nice font, nice clean font, nice simple, maybe a couple words on a shirt, but and just it's really about the color and simple font to me. So Dad Gang definitely does that. Definitely happy to partner with them. If you want to save 15%, click the link in the description. Dad Gang, fellas. So look, as we talk about being able to pivot as parents, as sports dads,
Yep.
another thing that doesn't always go as planned are relationships. And we've seen it. You get into relationships, whether married or not, and they end up in kids. If there's enough love, there's loving, right? And that could result in children. So and the mom and dad the parents don't always stay together. So let's kind of talk about how to co-parent as a sports dad and what that experience is like. I'll let Dave Volpini kind of go into his story from his perspective. And we'll kind of ask him some questions and kind of talk through this. But Dave, kind of, to set the tone on this topic, what's your experience like as co-parenting with an athlete?
Well, for me, it's easy because I'm very active. I coach Braden, right? So I'm very active in his life. So if we got baseball practice, I'm taking him. If we got hitting training, most of the time I'm taking him. So it doesn't mean I don't lean on his mom to get him there. Sometimes if I have something else going on where I'm going to be late or whatnot, which she'll fill in for. But for the most part, I just take that responsibility and carry that with me. Um, I love the time with him, to be honest with you. I couldn't imagine not taking him. The pre-practice talks, the pre-game talks, and then afterwards, I think I've been doing a very good job of just listening with him. But it's good. I mean, his mom's there to support him at all of his games. She's there. She shows up. She puts it on for him and roots for him. But when it comes to practices and everything else that goes with it, I'm 100% in with it. I take him to the batting cages. I'll take him with his friends. I'll go pick up prime time and run him out to do some catching with Dion. So I haven't really experienced it much, but I have been on the viewing side of it where I've seen some parents that are co-parenting that won't do anything for their kids if it's their time with them. So the kid pays the price at that point, right? It's not about the parents. It's not about what kind of beef you have, what kind of conflicts you have. It's about getting your kids where they need to be, teach them that responsibility of commitment and being somewhere on time. So I think as co-parents, you really need to spell that out. Who's responsible for what to make sure that your athlete gets to where they need to be without feeling that heat. The kids shouldn't feel anything from it. They just know they got to be somewhere and they need to get there.
Volpini, without getting you in any kind of static or drama, bro, right? Because
What
this
fun is that?
this what my dads they co-parent want to know, man. Because they navigating this too. Are you saying that so when you co-parent, that means you got a child with somebody you're not with anymore, right?
Right.
And there's a reason for that, right?
Yep.
Whether you agreed to disagree or maybe there was a disagreement, there was a split.
Sure.
So, are you saying that if there's ever beef, right, between you and your son's mother, that our emotions are able to turn off when it's time for sports related things for your son? Like, are you guys able to just shut that off in the midst of a
Yeah.
disagreement for the better of his sports journey?
100%.
That's good.
It's about B man. You know what I mean? Making sure he's not a part of that. That we keep him out of that for sure.
Dope, man. I love that. Joe, Coach T, any questions, in regards for Dave on this?
Fire away.
I don't know about questions, maybe whatever. Like I said, with my kids already grown up, we've seen so much, and we've seen so many kids out there suffer from parents that are co-parenting and they're not doing what's best for their kids, right? and it's difficult to watch, right? Because there's been so many practices, games that these kids just don't show up because the parents are, they're arguing with each other, and neither one of them, they're taking it out on the kid essentially, and it's not right, and it's not fair to the kid because in the long run, you know, like in the conversation that we had earlier with the whole Orlovsky thing, it's about your kid. You know what I mean? It ain't about you. So good for you, Dave. It's awesome that you guys are working through this, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yep.
What about you, Coach T, from the co-parenting perspective? I know it's not something that you're walking through firsthand, but I know you have a perspective on this.
Yeah, so I go through a secondhand as a coach. A lot of times when I communicate with the with the parents, I have to take in consideration the co-parenting schedule. Kid might be available one Saturday, but not the next, right? And so I think it's important to try to build a relationship with both parents if you can. Like Coach Dave said, sometimes a parent will just not even want nothing to do with sports, don't care about it, don't value it, and so they'll kind of be dismissive and unreachable, if you will. But if you have both parents at the table in any kind of way, as a coach, it's kind of good to talk to them, hear their side. Usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. So you try not to take sides. You just try to say, okay, what's the best for that kid? And how can I make them feel confident and comfortable as well? And it could be a journey. You get wrapped up in them. I get wrapped up in kids' schoolwork. Well, he don't value school. Well, I do value school, but I value sports too. What? And so that's the type of things that happen behind the scenes. And so as a coach, it's like, well, I value school. Let's dig in. Let's find out what's going on with his grades. Let me get the progress report. Dad said he can hoop. Mom, can he hoop? You know what I mean?
Right.
Where we at? And so, and that's again why we love sports, because it's such a great tool to bring people together.
Facts.
Despite their differences, despite where they may have been from a relationship standpoint, sports can bring them together if you part of a good program and things like that. But definitely have to remain sensitive. I hate missing my best players in the most important moments, and they don't care if it's mama's weekend. Then mom got the new husband, right? And so now they want to build their thing. Now he got another sports dad. And so it could get crazy, man. And so communication, and I don't want to sound cliche, but communicate. Hear out both sides, be a part of the journey, be honest and transparent with both, because they sharing a kid, now they sharing a sport. It's like sharing a furry friend or anything else. And so man,
that's a good point too. That's one of the challenges, is making sure that you're on the same page with the schedule, right?
Yeah.
Because some days, we have our same days with B through the week: 3 days, 4 days, 4 days, 3 days. So we got a good rotation. So there's always 3 days a week that I have Braden. There's always 3 days a week she has Braden, and then we flop one. But I've learned the fine line of, if the resources are available for the other parent to check that schedule. We have Game Changer now, lots of websites that track that stuff.
Nice.
It's not my responsibility to remind them of scheduling events, but at the same time, it's my obligation to Braden to make sure that he is where he needs to be on time, no matter what.
Love
Nice.
it. Love
Nice.
So
it.
as much as I may not want to say, hey, tomorrow 4 o'clock we got hitting practice, I'm gonna be by to get him.
Yep.
I still have to do it for Braden, because I don't want something to come around and then me go, oh, you weren't ready because of this. I try to take that out of the equation. So maybe I do too much at times for it, but I think that's part of the co-parent job, is to make sure your kid gets where they need to be when they need to be there.
Nice.
And as a coach too, that's why schedules out early as possible. Because honestly, man, like, they need to plan these schedules, and so we try to we got to be mindful of that. Like, we try to be careful with last minute stuff.
Life is busy,
but they can co-parent, right? So
sure. I love it, man. You guys using technology as a way to kind of bridge the gaps in the co-parenting experience.
Yeah.
Also, and one thing that dawned on me us sports dads that have, we got the 2-parent home for our child. Let's cut the coaches a little more slack because they are navigating parents that are co-parenting, right? Maybe it comes, maybe, it doesn't mean because it's a 2-parent home that it's always an easier family to navigate with. That's not an automatic thing. But maybe it can. So if we're making it easier, just cut the coach some slack because he may be navigating a difficult situation. I can remember when MJ first started AAU, I saw his teammates' parents physically fight at one of the games while he was on the court.
Wow.
I remember seeing this little kid. He had to be no older than 7 years old, crying at the embarrassment and shame and hurt of seeing his parents physically fight at a basketball game. Right? That's how bad this can look in co-parenting. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Volpini's been able to, by the grace of God, been able to work out a situation that works. Right? In a healthy way, but it doesn't always turn out like that in these co-parenting situations. So let's cut the coaches some slack and let's just try to be better. My experience and perspective,
Please.
right. Before I was a sports dad, I was a sports kid. I played basketball in 7th grade, and I remember my 7th grade basketball coach in middle school. He told my mom, "Man, this kid is so fast, he should play football." Now, at the time, we took as an insult, which years later we probably should have just listened, right? But anyway, in Detroit, if you want to play sports as a kid, especially football, it's all about the Police Athletic League, the PAL League, right?
Wow.
PAL League. So I wanted to play PAL football, and in my area, it was the West Side Cubs, and I think the Steelers were also in the area. West Side Cubs was the one, right? Practice. I think they practiced at McKenzie, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to join the Cubs. My dad coached PAL, but he didn't live in it's hard to say area, but he didn't live where I live, so I couldn't play for his team necessarily, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to play. My dad, my mom, they were no longer together, so it was a co-parenting situation. My dad got the application for me to join the West Side Cubs. That application was on our TV stand for months. It was never filled out, and I never got to join the West Side Cubs, right? That's co-parenting, right? From my dad's perspective, he probably felt like he did everything he could to make sure it happened, deliver the paperwork, and it was up to my mom to take it from there. Maybe that was the agreement they had. Maybe it was an argument they had. I don't know. All I know is as the child, I never got to play for the West Side Cubs, right? That was a co-parenting situation. And a lot of times as dads and moms, you feel like you're doing your part, but maybe the other parent isn't doing their part, just like it was in the relationship, right? It's really no different. So, I would say it's some there in co-parenting, and I can't tell you what to do or speak to that experience, but sometimes you got to overcompensate for the sake of the kid. What if dad would have filled that application out and took it upon himself instead of just saying he did his part? Who knows?
Someone's got to.
Yep, someone.
Right.
But we don't live with no regrets. But give us your co-parenting tips in the comments. We want to hear it. How have you been dealing with that journey? Whether it's been tough or whether it's been easy, you never know. What you're trying to navigate, someone else has already been through it, and they can help you in that journey. Tap in with us, fellas.
Let us know. Let us know.
Let us know. Let us know. So, yes, dad, no dad, fellas. Yes, dad, no dad.
Yes.
Man, quick fire, rapid fire. We're gonna go through some things on Detroit sports. Y'all tell me if y'all rock with it. I say yes, dad. You tell me you don't rock with it. That's a no, dad. And it's sponsored by Motown Magic Basketball. Shout out to the program. Like Coach T said, they're supposed to be wrapping down, but they're actually about to ramp up. He shared with me some of the direction that they're headed in, and I think it's super special. So can't wait to hear more about that. But let's lock into it, man. So look, yes, dad, no, dad. Recently, 5 players, 2 coaches were ejected following a brawl during the Minnesota Timberwolves 123-104 victory against the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, Isaiah Stewart was suspended 2 games without pay for escalating an on-court altercation. Joe Dumars actually announced that. The irony of that Joe Dumars had to announce the suspension of a Pistons player, although he no longer works for the Pistons. But Pistons forward Ron Holland II and guard Marcus Sasser, along with Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo. They also were suspended 1 game without pay. It's been getting real scrappy with the Pistons, man, lately. Real scrappy. It's kind of reminiscent of a time before, right? That bad boys basketball, right? It seems like the Pistons are bringing back that mentality. But the question for you guys, man, I want Coach T. I need it off top, Coach T. Do you, because we talk about the state of the NBA often, me and you. Do you think that bringing back this bad boys mentality and that whole style of basketball, you think is what the NBA needs? Yes, Dad, no, Dad.
Yes, Dad.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I think in trying to make the game bigger, you know, we took this Euro step. Euro step, I like that. We took this Euro step and incorporating you know, things outside of our culture, our local culture nationally. And so I think the flopping and some of the less physicality. I know people don't want to see a bunch of fighting on TV, but I think the game needs to be more physical. I think shaking hands and exchanging jerseys after losing is not why you get paid millions to compete. And so, although I don't think fighting is the answer, I think more physicality is the answer. A lot of people try to mix up the bad boy era for fighting when there was more physicality, and sometimes that leads to tempers flaring and fighting, of course, as it should. In hockey, it's a part of the sport. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, I don't want to condone fighting, but I need you to be way more physical. Everything's on the line. We're getting paid millions to do this, baby. It ain't supposed to be, I'm just going to watch him drive to the hole. No, we're going to make you think about it.
It's like the passion. We call it passion, right? The passion
drives you. Back. And I think it reflects in the fan bases now. And other teams are starting to adjust and say, hold on, you ain't going to just push me around. And it's starting to set a tone of urgency, which is what I would like to see in my sports. I want to see some urgency. I want to see some passion. I want you to want to be here. I want you to want to fight for it. And so I think it represents that. And that's what galvanizes the fan bases. That's what makes us want to see it. That's what makes us want to view it. The rivalries, right? You can't have a rivalry if you don't have no healthy hatred. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
they don't even have rivalries anymore, do they?
Yeah, we got to get back to that. We got to get back to that. And I think physicality from the Pistons, it set the tone before. And, you know, we was mad when we was knocking Jordan out the air. And so they're going to set the tone again. And they're going to bring it back. And they're going to get your viewership up so your CBA can make sense and y'all can keep making some money, man. Because right now, the sport was going backwards without the physicality.
For sure, man. Well, it sounds like Coach T wants that 90s hip hop back in the NBA. He's all for it. Hey, Suburban Joe, man. What's up, man? Does the NBA need this bad boys mentality, this style of play to return, man? Is it good for the NBA? Yes, Dad, or no, Dad?
Yes, Dad. Finally. Man, we used to watch, you know, we haven't watched NBA really like in a while, right?
Yeah.
The last few years, it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to watch it. You know what I mean? Because it's always the same stuff, you know, like earlier you said that you went to the game and LeBron was talking to the ref all game. And you know what? No, dude. No, you know, enough of the flopping. You know, my biggest complaint about LeBron is he looked like a soccer player out there, right? You touch him, he falls, flopping like a fish all over the court. Give me a break, man. Yeah. No, man, we need this. I mean, the Pistons are doing it again. Now, does the NBA like it? I mean, will they let the Pistons win a championship being, you know, this physical team? I don't know. You know, because they always want these finesse teams, these teams that are shooting. Pistons have tripled the amount of wins this year. Tripled. That's a whole different mentality. I mean, they're going out there, they're working. Yeah. Motown, man. Let's go.
Doing work. Hey, remember, it used to be doing work. That was the slogan.
Yeah. Going to work, man. Going to work.
Yes, sir. Go. I love it, Joe. I'm with it, Joe. So Joe want to bring back that WWF, not that WWE. He want that WWF.
No, I just like, you know, that's right. You remember the Lambeer days, man?
Oh, yeah.
Kevin McHale.
Let's go.
Kevin McHale,
yeah, man. Squaring up, man. Vote Penny, man. Is this what the NBA needs? Yes, Dad, no, Dad.
Yes, sir.
Vinny the
Vinny.
microwave.
Is that the
Johnson.
microwave?
Microwave. That's the
Oh,
Bad
microwave,
boys
baby.
for life, baby. Bad boy
man.
mentality will bring it
That's
back to
right.
them.
Hit the game
Just
winner.
like when they had Tayshaun and Rasheed
Yeah.
Wallace and Big Ben. They compared them to the Bad
Yeah.
Boys. I love how whenever a Detroit basketball team's doing well and playing physical,
Yeah.
they compare them to the Bad Boys, which was
Yeah.
the best basketball team
Yep.
ever in Detroit for sure.
Yeah.
That's a yes,
Sure.
Dad from Coach
Yes,
Volpini.
Dad.
And I see you got that Bad Boys banner up there behind you too. I
You
like
know
that.
that.
I might have to grab that too,
Tiny.
man. I had to
Tiny.
grab that. Yeah, definitely bring back Ball Don't Lie. I need
Yes,
more.
sir.
I need more Ball Don't Lie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I need that attitude. And so it's a yes, Dad, for me. I need that attitude back in the game. I need that swag. I need that Jay-Z versus Nas. You know, I need that. You know, I need that Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. I need the theatrics that goes with the NBA that comes from the aggression of the man. You know, too much testosterone in one room, man. It is what it is. You know,
Right.
Yep.
bring it back. Bring it
Throwing
back.
blows.
And then another thing, you know what's crazy? We talked about our kids playing up. When they play up, they experience more physicality. They get
Yep.
banged up, and we tell them that's how you grow. You mean to tell me I'm having my son play basketball and get beat up in AAU basketball every game, talk trash to, cuss that, everything, only for him to get to the NBA one day and it softens? Nah, man, that's backwards. That's like going to a pinnacle and then going down. Like, nah, man, we got to bring back some of this competitive basketball.
Mhm.
And like Coach T said, at the end of it, it's only going to be better for the fan base. I ain't for scrapping on the court, but I am for almost scrapping. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So there it is, man. 4 yes dads on the NBA needing that bad boys mentality. Now, Tarek Skubal. Y'all know I love to bet on some baseball. Tarek Skubal made me a lot of coin last year, but so far he's, we ain't got on the same page with these slips. But more importantly, he started 0-2. He's got an ERA of 5.91. He's given up 3 home runs, I think, in about 10 innings, if I'm not mistaken. My question to you, Coach Volpini, man, should the Tiger fans be worried about Skubal's start? Yes, Dad, no, Dad.
Not at all. No, Dad.
Why not?
He's a great pitcher. He's just got, he lost one game. There was a couple of mistakes in the field, right? I mean, nothing to worry about. It's way too early. They play way too many baseball games. They play for way too long to worry about the first couple of games.
Facts. Coach T, I know you got a take on this, man. Should the Tiger fans be worried about Skubal's on to start?
No, man, because part of them losses, you got to play them dang on Dodgers, bro.
I know.
Hey, bro, this created team, right here. I don't want to make this about the Dodgers, bro.
Right.
Those losses is about the Dodgers, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta consider now. They ball. Tigers is balling, bro. Like this is not just being a homer. I think we went on ahead and took care of business in our season opener yesterday. 7-1 opening day. Our home season
opener. Yep.
Yeah, 7-1, I think, against the Chicago White Sox. But
Whooping boys.
Without
dude.
torpedo bats.
Yeah. But no, nothing to worry about. The Dodgers are a worthy foe, and let's just see how things go.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's a no dad from Coach T.
No dad.
Joe. Suburban Joe, man. Should we be worried? Should the Tigers fans be worried about Skubal's 0-2 start, or is it bigger than that? Should we be worried, bro? Yes, Dad.
No, Dad. Come on. Like Coach T said, first game was against the Dodgers, and we were in the games, right? Let's just be real.
Facts.
The second game that he pitched, Colt Keith booted a ball. He booted a ball that would have been a third out, right? And then the next batter up hit the fence for a double, scored 2 runs. And by the way, he still had 8 strikeouts in that game. 8 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Should we be worried? No, Dad. The season's long. He's still working his things through. Going to be just fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm with y'all, man. That's a no dad for me. I think Skubal's a stud. Tough start to the schedule. What's crazy is we faced those Dodgers the opening week, and then we got torpedo bats, the Yankees, next week. So it sounds like it's just a tough start to the year schedule-wise, but it sounds like the Tigers are getting some respect as well in terms of the schedule. They know that we're coming. We on the way. So it's a no dad for me. And there it is, man. Yes, Dad, no dad has finally meets, just unanimous decisions across both of those, man. But make sure y'all leave us y'all thoughts as usual in the comments. And right now, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Hey, y'all. Been all over the country. Tried all kinds of bourbons. I've learned one thing. The best bourbons are the bourbons you share with your friends. Hello, my name is Joe Russo. They call me Suburban Joe. I hope you all are ready for lots of fun, lots of laughs, and lots of bourbon. So on this show, we're going to talk about surviving fatherhood. You know, the tale of two fools. We're going to talk about mixing cultures and mixing bourbons. Although we try not to take ourselves too seriously, there's a lot to learn on the show. I want to welcome you all to this journey, the Suburban Joe Show. Remember, drink what you like. And guess what? We ain't rocket scientists. We just like bourbon.
Always good to tap in with the partners of the show. If you are a business, local business to Macomb County, we want to partner with you. Tap in with us. Make sure you go to motownmadness.org, or you can just it should be a QR code down there, fellas. Y'all see that QR code right there down at the bottom? Yep, that QR code right there. You can scan that QR code and tap in with us. Now, we've reached that part of the show where it's time for a deeper dive, right? We got to hit that next level. This is for the family, the sports dad who's been locked in, and now it's time to unlock certain things, man. So we're going to tap in with Coach T and dive into this subject. This week, we starting with NIL. Let's go to that real quick.
What's up, family? It's Coach T, and I got a question for you. Who has more influence on the stuff your kids buy right now? Is it LeBron James, Steph Curry, you, or is it the cool kids at school? I'm going with the cool kids, the in crowd. Big brands been profiting off of our kids for years, and now our kids can finally get a piece of the advertising pie that they deserve. Welcome to the era of the NIL deals. Here are the top 5 things parents should understand about NIL. Number 1, what is it? Well, it means name, image, and likeness. It gives student athletes the legal right to profit from their personal brand while maintaining eligibility in high school or college sports. This could be through endorsements, social media deals, merchandise, or appearances. Number 2, it's legal, but it comes with rules. The NCAA, state laws, and sometimes even school districts have specific rules about how athletes can earn NIL money. Some schools help manage these opportunities and others don't, but it's up to you, the parent, to know what's allowed in your state. Number 3, it's a business, and your kid is the brand. Once NIL money start coming in, things gonna change. So as a parent, you're probably gonna need help with a few things, like managing contracts and payments, setting up LLCs and bank accounts, or hiring legal, financial, or marketing help. So it's crucial to teach the kids the business side early because all these things, they're already going to be off to the races for them. Number 4, social media, it equals opportunity. A student athlete's social media presence can impact their NIL value. These brands, they looking at your follower count, how much you engage, the personality and consistency of posting. If you're positive and got clean content, they care about this stuff. So as their parent, it's up to you to help their kid build their audience correctly. Number 5, it's not just for the D1 stars. You don't have to be on ESPN to earn NIL money. Local businesses and camps and training programs and even apparel brands, they want to work with athletes who are well known in the community or have a unique story or following or can represent something positive. Even middle school and high school athletes in some states are cashing in. So look, stay locked in with Motown Sports Dad. We're going to dig deeper into this whole NIL thing, to see if it's a bag in it for us, because
I mean, think about all the bags we already spent on our kids. You know what I mean? It'd be great if you come back. And if you ain't already following us on all these platforms, I don't know what you're waiting on. You dig? Look, let's talk soon. We'll catch up. Peace.
Man, Coach T, see, now that's what I'm talking about, right? You know, we talk about spending all this money. How can we get some of this money? Because NIL deals going crazy. They're getting like socks deals and
all kinds of
you know,
stuff.
all type of stuff at early ages, man. Early ages, man. So thanks for shedding the light. But for the people, kind of share with them the thought process that went into kind of carving this time out on the show for that level of Sports Dad, man. What's the approach? What is it?
Yes, so we're all at different levels of being Sports Dad, and some of us are a little deeper into it at this point, where we're a little more advanced, and so we want to make sure we speak to some of these advanced topics and ideas, with the base, just in case you want more information or you're interested. We want to bring some folks in to talk about some of these things. We want to shed some light on it. The transfer portals and the NIL deals, and just it's a lot of stuff out there right now that we can really dig into and talk about. And so we'll be spending time on that this season.
Love that, Coach T. Yeah, man, there's so much new stuff going on within
Division One, being recruited by Division I schools, right?
Yeah,
there's good stuff out here, man, that we need to cover.
Yeah, look forward to getting those tools. You know, my son's a freshman in high school and college is around the corner. Somebody asked him yesterday what college he wanted to go to. It was at the eye doctor. And he said, I don't know. And he was like, well, I do know. And then he also asked me, well, Dad, if Ohio State offers me a full scholarship, can I go? So see, the mentality to even ask me that is what I like. You know what I'm saying? He got to make sure and say, because we're a Wolverine household. You know what I'm saying?
Go blue.
Go. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he even asked me that, we bringing him up right. But I told him, at the end of the day, we want school paid for no matter where it is. And if they pay for my son to go, I can rock a little scarlet and you dig. But it still go blue at the games, right? It's gonna be tough. Right. Hey, it is what it is. But Coach T is gonna help us unlock getting to school, the school we want. So we look forward to that. Fellas, we got to get out of here. Before we do, though, Joe, how can people tap in with you on the socials, man? How can they do that?
Hey, you can find me on Instagram at Suburban Joe. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me, where I'm on YouTube. The Suburban Joe is on YouTube. That's where you can find me.
Yep.
And I just want to speak to that. So the Suburban Joe Show, y'all. First off, is on all platforms. Super dope for the bourbon. And it's not just for the bourbon connoisseur.
Oh, no.
It's for the men that enjoy conversations about things that matter for men, right? Just it's things that we're doing, having a good conversation over a steak, over a glass of wine, just building, getting to know your neighbor, building bridges between cultures. The Suburban Joe Show is really good, and he actually teaches you how to mix some of those good drinks, man. Like the old-fashioned recipe that he's got is like super dope. So make sure you tap in with the Suburban Joe podcast, man.
And really quick, I mean, this was inspired, Tarmel's wife actually came up with the idea, right? Because Tarmel and I, we'd just be sitting talking, and a lot of times, like Tarmel, we're just driving around. He's like, now this could be a podcast. A lot of our conversations were just podcasts. You know what I mean? So this is how it all began. You know what I mean? Just sitting in the yard, sitting around, having a couple of drinks, but it wasn't always just about bourbons. It's about life, right?
Nice. So love that, man. So make sure y'all tap in with the Suburban Joe podcast. Coach T, Motown Magic Basketball. How can the people find you on the internet, man, on social media?
That's it. Find me here. Sports Dad. I'm rocking right here. Right here in Harlem.
right there.
And so Motown Sports Dad for sure, and Motown Magic Basketball.
Let's get it, man. Vote Penny, man. How, I know you're not big on the socials, right? Not a whole lot.
You find me on Facebook or on Motown Sports Dad. That's about, or at the baseball fields if you want.
Yes, sir. And Vote Penny actually told us he's going to the Tigers-Yankees game. And this is how turning the passion into a profit is super dope. So there's going to be plenty pictures taken, because his wife is extraordinary with the camera. Dana Rose Photography is a perfect time to shout her out, man. Good. Sir. So there's going to be plenty pictures. We're going to share some of those on the show.
Yep.
Yep.
Shout out to our partners, Level Up, Dad Gang Gang, Dad Gang, Dad Gang. Shout out to all the parents out there. Central Florida Heat basketball in Central Florida. The Rise Above program. My son's trainer has an AAU program, and he's actually, we've been in talks of him being part of the Motown Madness family. So we're looking forward to that as well. Man, anything else, fellas? Did I forget anything?
One more thing, Marcel. I can't wait for you to take us into like some of the Central Florida so we can see some of the palm trees and take our audience on that ride. Right, we're gonna have to write you a Central Florida segment so that we can enjoy.
Yep. Sure. And for now, the people can actually follow me on socials. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is like one of my big ones. Instagram as well. Marcel B _THEMC. Marcel B DMC. Got a single out right now. Strange Fire with Deeper Than the Cut. Got more music coming. Man, I look forward to just linking up and engaging with everybody out there. Thanks for supporting the show so far. Y'all are running the subscriptions and the views up already. And we just went live, man. So make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, fellas. Peace.